What's up, guys? It's Ty here, and today I have my 2017-2018 NBA season predictions, or season standing predictions. So in this video, this will be I don't know how long this is going to be, but there'll be a lot of cuts, and I'll be explaining what we're going to be doing in this video. And I'm showing you guys the standings for last year's NBA season to see where everyone finished. So just so you get a nice little thing here, this is where everybody finished. I'm sure you guys all knew that. And today I will be predicting where everyone will finish next year. Now, the Eastern Conference was easier. It's still hard, but it's easier than the Western Conference. The Western Conference was very, very difficult, but I tried to do it. And we'll be doing this we will be going to this little player movement thing, and we'll be going from the bottom, the worst team in the conference, to the top team in the conference prediction-wise. We'll be going over who they added, who they got rid of, and we will kind of try to we'll look at the roster, we'll try to mock who we think is going to be the starting lineup. So this will be a decent sized video, but let's get it kicked off here. And they're not too far away. We're starting with the Eastern Conference, and obviously we're going to be starting with the Brooklyn Nets. I believe that the Brooklyn Nets will be finishing at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Also, guys, I will have in the description the whole list of where everyone I think is finishing, so you kind of have a visual understanding of it instead of an audio an audible way. Okay, so obviously we know Brooklyn, they added D'Angelo Russell and Timothy Mozgov, and they got rid of Brook Lopez. They also added Damari Carroll, but yeah, they got rid of Brook Lopez and they got rid of their first round pick, and you guys see they lost Justin Hamilton, but that's not too big of a deal. They did add Jared Allen and Alexander Venikov in the draft. I don't think Venikov's going to do much, but Jared Allen might do something. I don't think he's going to start. I think they'll actually start Mozgov, but that's just me. I think D'Lo is a starter, Carroll is a starter, and Mozgov will be a starter. So we can go check out their depth as of right now. This is like before any of the roster changes. I think they're going to slide Mr. D'Lo at the point guard. Shooting guard, I think they're going to go with Caris LeVert here to the shooting guard, and then have Kilpatrick come off as the sixth man. Then I believe Damari Carroll will be the starting small forward. Power forward, I think it'll still be Rondae Hollis-Jefferson. They could put Jared Allen there, and then I think Timothy Mozgov will be the center, or maybe they'll put Jared Allen there, they'll put Mozgov there. I don't know what they'll do, but I do think that Mozgov will start. So I think it'll be D'Lo, it'll be Caris, it will be Damari Carroll, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and Timothy Mozgov. So that was the Brooklyn Nets. Let's move on to our next team. And the team that I believe that will be finishing 14th in the Eastern Conference next year will be the Orlando Magic. Obviously, they had the 6th pick in this year's draft. They picked up Jonathan Isaac from the Florida State Seminoles. They also drafted Wesley Iwundu. In the free agency, they picked up Jonathan Simmons, who I'm pretty big on. I like Jonathan Simmons, and then Shelvin Mack. And they did lose C.J. Watson, Steven Zimmerman, Jody Meeks, and Jeff Green. So we're going to head to their roster here. As of right now, Elfrid Payton, I think everything is going to honestly stay pat, really. I don't think any movement is going to happen. I think Elfrid Payton will be the starting point guard. Evan Fournier will be the starting shooting guard. And then small forward, I don't know. They will either start Terrence Ross there. They're going to start Terrence Ross, Jonathan Simmons, or maybe even Jonathan Isaac. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I don't know where they're going to put that. Or I think Aaron Gordon will start up at the 4, but I think maybe Jonathan Isaac could back him up. I think Jonathan Isaac will back up Aaron Gordon, or maybe they'll kind of split minutes. I don't know how that's going to go, but I think the 3, Jonathan Simmons and Terrence Ross, will split minutes as well. And then Nikolai Vucevic will be the center. But I do believe the Magic will be finishing 14th in the Eastern Conference. So let's move on to the next team. And coming in at number 13 here in the Eastern Conference are the Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Atlanta Hawks were the 5 seed in the East last year, but you guys know they lost a couple of key pieces in that team. They did a lot this offseason, but they did lose. Here's all they lost. Jose Calderon, not a big deal. Tim Hardaway Jr., decent, off the bench, not a bad player. Paul Millsap, that is big. Thabo Sefolosha, that's okay. Dwight Howard, that is big. Ryan Kelly, that's big. Jamal Crawford, he never really had him. But Dwight Howard and Paul Millsap and Tim Hardaway Jr. a little bit. Those are big. So they lost them, and they did pick up John Collins, who's looking really, really good. They got Tyler Dorsey, Alpha Kaba, and I like Dwayne Dedmon, Ilyasova, and then Muscala. So again, they lost 2 major pieces, and I think that's just going to fall. Here's their depth now, and yeah, it's they have Schroeder. Schroeder will definitely be the starting one. Now the 2, who will be their starting shooting guard now? You go to their roster. First of all, the center I think will be Muscala here. You go to their roster here. Obviously, Schroeder will be the point guard. Who's going to be their shooting guard? Is Dorsey going to be the shooting guard? Is Marco Bellinelli going to be the shooting guard? Malcolm Delaney? Like, they don't have an answer for the shooting guard now. I don't know. Maybe Taurean Prince from Baylor can maybe move to the 2. I'm not too sure what they're going to do here. I do believe that Kent Blazemore will be the 3, but maybe they'll move one of these 6'6". He can probably play the 2. Taurean Prince is a little bit of a stretch. Maybe they'll even move Blazemore to the 2 and let Taurean Prince start at the 3. And then I believe Muscala will be at the 4, and Dwayne Dedmon will start at the 5. I do think John Collins will be the 6th man because he does look very, very promising. I do think he is looking really good in summer league, but he'll come off the bench, and I think he can be the 6th man for them. So that is the Atlanta Hawks. They take a big fall this year. Finishing 12th in the Eastern Conference next year is going to be the Chicago Bulls, in my opinion. Obviously, we know they lost a lot of pieces. They lost Jimmy Butler as their biggest piece they lost. They waived Rajon Rondo. Michael Carter-Williams is, okay. Joffrey Laverne, the GOAT right there, he's gone. And Isaiah Cannon. But they did pick up. They got, obviously, in the trade for Mr. Jimmy Butler, the Timberwolves gave them Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, and they basically gave them Lauri Markkanen as well. They also re-signed Christian Felicio on an $8 million deal, and Justin Holiday, and then this Nwaba. So that is the Bulls, who they've gotten and who they have not gotten, basically. And we go to the depth, really, and we see last year, obviously, no more Rondo. I don't think they want to start Cameron Payne there. In my humble opinion, maybe they'll even let D. Wade be the point guard next year, but I think Zach LaVine will be their starting point guard, not Chris Dunn. They have so many point guards. I mean, they lost these 2, but they still have Payne, Grant, and they lost Rondo too, but they also have Chris Dunn as well. So, but I do think potentially D. Wade or Zach LaVine will be their point guard next year. Then it'll be Dwayne Wade will play the 2. I think they will move Dwayne Wade will play the 2. But him and LaVine can switch, honestly. Denzel Valentine, I think they will move to the 3 unless they really trust Paul Zipser, but I don't think they do. I think Bobby Portis and Nikolai Mirotic will do like the interchanging thing and like have Lauri in that little cycle as well. And then Robin Lopez will stay at the 5. Maybe even they'll put Lauri at the 5. He wouldn't have a lot of rebounding if you just want like a 3-point specialist. I don't think Lauri's going to start, in my opinion. They might, but I think they'll keep Bobby Portis, and they will just, all 3 of these players will just keep it going. But yeah, the Bulls team's hurting, but I think D. Wade will be able to take them, and LaVine. I think D. Wade, just because it's D. Wade, he'll be better than like, you know, the Nets, the Magic, and the Hawks, in my opinion. Because, you know what I'm saying, it's Dwayne Wade. I know he's old, but you trust him. So let's move on to our next team. All right, so we are at the 11th team here in the Eastern Conference for next year, the New York Knicks. And I just realized this video might be kind of long, guys, so hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this and stay here for the long haul. And yeah, the New York Knicks didn't really lose anyone, but I don't think that matters that much. They did draft, obviously, Frank Ntilikina. I think that's how you say it. If I said it wrong, please tell me how to say it. I've seen like how to say it. I think I want to say Ntilikina. I believe that's how you, or Tilikina, something like that. I think the end's silent. And then they got some other draft picks. Don't really know. They did get Tim Hardaway Jr. and Ron Baker, the freaking GOAT. But so Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to play a big role. But yeah, let's see their depth as of now. They didn't really lose anyone, so that's good. But they are going to lose D Rose. I do believe that. See, this is before the D Rose thing. I think they'll lose him. So their point guard situation. I don't even know who Chase and Randall is. The point guard situation, I mean, I totally forgot about Ntilikina. They're going to start Ntilikina. If Derrick Rose leaves, which he is going to, he will start. So Frank is going to start at the point guard at 18 years old, a youngin', holy crap. And then at the 2, Courtney Lee, but I believe Tim Hardaway is actually going to start at the 2. that's just my humble opinion. I think that is the right thing to do, unless I wouldn't do that unless the 3, Carmelo Anthony. As of right now, Carmelo Anthony's on the Knicks and he'll be the 3. But if he leaves to go to Houston, that could be bad. That is not good, and that is a very strong possibility. So I can see either Lance Thomas or Tim Hardaway moving down to the 3 spot. He is 6'6". I mean, he's not huge, he's not small, but I can see him going to the 3 and then having Courtney Lee stay at the 2. And obviously, Kristaps Porzingis will be at the 4, and then Joakim Noah sadly will stay at the 5, or maybe they'll even start Willie Hernan-Gomez this year. But yeah, this Knicks team's going to be better than a couple of the other teams, but they will not be great. So let's move on to the 10th team. We're getting close to the playoff teams, guys. Coming in at number 10, the Indiana Pacers, and obviously their big loss this year was Mr. Paul George. They also waived Monte Ellis. They lost Jeff Teague. That was another big loss, and they also lost C.J. Miles in a trade. And free agency, that's a lie. It was through a trade. But the players they added T.J. Lee from UCLA, Lonzo's teammate, Ike Anigbogu, who I think is also from UCLA, Edmund Sumner, who's not too much. They got Bojan Bogdanovic from the Wizards. They also picked up Darren Collison, former player for the Pacers. They got Corey Joseph in a trade, and they got Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis from the Paul George trade. So, in my humble opinion, I think right here are 3 starters. Either you can kind of switch Darren Collison or Corey Joseph, who's going to be the starting point guard. It's one of those 2, I believe. I think Oladipo will definitely be the starting 2. And then at the 4, I think it will be Domantas Sabonis. Why do I have the Knicks up? What the heck? What? Oh, hang on. Why were the Knicks up there still? I clicked on the Pacers, but whatever. Let's click on the Indiana Pacers again. There we go. Let's see their depth as of right now. Obviously, Teague's gone, but I think either Corey Joseph or Darren Collison's going to be there. C.J. Miles is gone. Monte Ellis is gone. I think Lance is gone too. But I do think Victor Oladipo is definitely going to step up there. At the small forward, Glenn Robinson III, maybe? I think so. I think it'll be Glenn. I think it'll be Glenn. They don't have Thaddeus anymore. Miles Turner is a lock at the 5, so yeah, that's good. Bogdanovic could go, honestly, to the... Oh, they have C.J. Miles, too. I forgot. Totally forgot about C.J. Miles. Wait, no, they don't. Why is C.J. Miles still on the team if he's not on the team anymore? He was in the trade for Mr. Corey Joseph. Yeah, what the heck? Did that not go through? Whatever. Well, so again, let's go over this again. Corey Joseph, 1. Oladipo at the 2. I think they can move Bogdanovic to the 3 and have him play there, or you could play, I guess, either Lance Stevenson or Glenn Robinson III. It's a kind of a toss-up. At the 4, I think they will play. Actually, no, Thaddeus Young. He will stay at the 4. I didn't know he's still on the team. They have Thaddeus Young and then Sabonis coming off the bench. They got a lot of good power forwards, and then at the 5, it's pretty easy. It's Miles Turner. He's going to be a big thing for this Pacers team this year. I think him and Oladipo are going to do some good things. That's why I have them at 10. I don't have them falling as far as people probably thought they would fall, but this is the Eastern Conference, and yeah. So they didn't fall too bad, but they are still out of the playoffs now. But let's move on to the number 9 team, the last team that will not make the playoffs. And the final team to not make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference are the Detroit Pistons, coming in at number 9. They drafted Luke Kennard in the draft at number 12. They also picked up Reggie Bullock, Langston Galloway, Eric Moreland, Tolliver. And they also, biggest pickup for them this offseason, they got Avery Bradley from Boston. Obviously, it was Avery Bradley for Marcus Morris and a second-round pick. Or Avery Bradley and a second-round pick for Marcus Morris to the Boston Celtics. So, as a Celtics fan, I miss Avery already, but it had to be done because of cap reasons. I do understand that. And they did lose Aaron Bates to Boston. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who went to the Lakers, Darian Hilliard, and obviously Marcus Morris. But we're going to go to the Detroit Pistons depth chart here. And we're going to see, obviously, Reggie Jackson will remain as the starting point guard. The starting shooting guard will be Avery Bradley, and he'll be a very, very good player, in my opinion. I do believe that Stanley Johnson will be at the starting 3 with the departure of Marcus Morris. So Stanley Johnson, an 8th overall pick in his draft class, he finally gets his chance to start. The power forward will kind of stay the same. I think Tobias Harris can kind of get over John Lear, but that's just me. And then obviously Andre Drummond, the centerpiece of this team, will stay at the 5. So let's get into the first playoff teams, guys, and the teams are starting to get interesting now. Coming in at the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference and the lowest playoff team are the Charlotte Hornets. I'm big on the Hornets this year. I don't think they're going to do amazing things, but I think they're going to do great things. Now, I had a toss-up between them and the 7th seed, who you guys will see next, but either or, you interchange them. They're both 7 and 8, in my opinion. Obviously, they drafted Malik Monk, who I believe was a steal, and they drafted Dwayne Bacon, who is another steal. They got Michael Carter-Williams. Who cares? But the biggest thing they got was Dwight Howard. And I was like, Dwight Howard to the Hornets. Oh, my God. Kemba gets another piece. So I was really happy to see Dwight Howard join the Hornets. And I think it's going to be a great pickup for them. And I think it's going to boost them to the playoffs. They lost Miles Plumlee and Marco Bellinelli. But those aren't huge losses. We go to the depth chart here. And obviously, Kemba is going to be your starting point guard. Nothing changes there. You get Nicholas Batum is going to stay at the 2, but obviously Malik Monk is going to be that 6th-man role-ish around that. I believe he can do something really well in the Charlotte Hornets organization. I think MKG will stay at the 3. I do believe Marvin Williams or Frank Kaminsky, those guys will stay at the 4. Everything's going to stay the same, and then at the 5, you just put Dwight Howard here, and I think that puts them in the playoffs, in my opinion. I think Dwight Howard is better than Cody Zeller. And, yeah, I really do think Dwight Howard's going to have a good year with Kemba. And Kemba, they're finally going to get to the playoffs. The Charlotte Hornets, they have a pretty well-rounded team. And, yeah, let's move on to the 7th seed, who I thought could have been the 8th seed. But I put him at the 7 because I trust. It's a little hint right there. Well, guys, we are at our 7th team. And when I say trust, I mean I trusted the process. The Philadelphia 76ers will finish 7th next year in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, they got the number 1 pick, Markelle Fultz, after trading for the number 1 pick after giving up a 3rd pick and another pick that's either 2018 or 2019 pick. Obviously, we know the details of that already. We don't have to go over that again. They have so many draft picks this year. They got obviously Markelle Fultz and I cannot say that, Pasterniks. It's actually pretty decent. Farkin Korkmaz, he was the 26th pick last year. They finally signed him. Jonah Bolden, who is a very, very good player from Australia. And he's pretty good. I say he's a steal at the 36th spot. Sterling Brown and Matthias Lasorte, not really big players. They also picked up J.J. Redick and Amir Johnson on 1-year deals. And they only lost Shane Long, and they waived Gerald Henderson. So let's go to the depth. None of the depth players. They already have Markelle Fultz. Well, they basically already have the lineup that I was going to say. That's kind of. Would you just look at that? Yeah, Markelle Fultz at the 1, J.J. Redick at the 2, Ben Simmons at the 3, Dario Saric at the 4, Joel Embiid at the 5. Is that too much to say? Very young team except J.J. Redick, but I think this team is going. If they stay healthy, this is all if they stay healthy. If they don't stay healthy, they're going to be like last in the East again. But if this team can stay healthy, this is going to be a good team, and in the future, it's going to be a great team. You got Rocco coming off the bench. He'll be the 6th man, I believe. I think you can move Rocco, or you can move Ben to the 2, Rocco at the 3. You can do what you want, really. I think this is a really, really good team, and things are looking up in Philadelphia. But let's move on to the 6th seed. All right, the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference next year is going to be the Miami Heat, in my opinion. Obviously, we know they drafted Bam Adebayo at the number 14th spot. They re-signed James Johnson. They picked up Kelly Olynyk from Boston on a 4-year, $50 million deal. They re-signed Dion Waiters, the Beast. They also got A.J. Hammond, not a big deal. Obviously, they had to waive Chris Bosh because he just could not play anymore. But he does want to return, so it's kind of good. And then Josh McRoberts is gone as well, but really, who cares? So let's look at their depth chart from last year to this year now. And here we are. You got Goran Dragic at the 1. Pretty good. Dion Waiters at the 2. At the 3, I'm not too sure who Rodney McGruder is, to be honest, but I think all these 3 small forwards can play at any time. Justice Winslow, James Johnson, or Rodney McGruder. So it doesn't really matter there. They're all kind of the same type of player. Not the same type of player, but they'll provide the same amount. The 4, oh my gosh, now they lost 2 of their power forwards, but they had so many power forwards. But Luke Babel will no longer be starting a power forward because it would have been Chris Bosh. Now, if Chris Bosh was still on this team would be like a 3 seed, I think, in the East, honestly. But I do think Kelly Olynyk will now be their starting power forward, so that's a pretty good pickup for them. That fills that 4 spot and that 4 void. And then Hassan Whiteside, the centerpiece of this team. So the Miami Heat has a pretty nice team, and I think they will finish 6th in the Eastern Conference next year. Coming in at the 5 spot is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks. And I'll tell you what, guys, you guys know the teams that are left. Not much change, a little bit of shakeup at the top, but not too much change. But yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be coming in at the 5 spot in the East next year. Obviously, they drafted DJ Wilson out of Michigan, 17th overall, and they re-signed Tony Snell. But the good thing is they lost no one. All they did was gain. And if you gain people, you technically get better, right? That's kind of like, it's kind of the rule. So Malcolm Brogdon, now, okay, this could change. Malcolm Brogdon is right now the starting point guard, which he's not bad. He's good. Gary Payton II didn't even know he was in the league. But I do think Derrick Rose is going to go to the Bucks. I am a strong believer Derrick Rose go to the Bucks. This is perfect. So even if Derrick Rose goes to the Bucks, I still think the Bucks will stay at the 5 spot. That's the only difference. So let's just say right now, Derrick Rose is at the 1. Okay, Derrick Rose at the 1. Chris Middleton at the 2. At the 3, I see Jabari down at the 4, but he got hurt. Remember, guys. I think when if Jabari is healthy by the season, they will move Jabari to the 3 because he used to be a 3 and now he's a 4. But he can play the small forward spot unless they want to start. They can start Tony Snell, but I think starting Jabari Parker would be the best. So put Jabari Parker at the 3, Giannis at the 4, or you can switch those 2 up. It doesn't really matter. You put Giannis at the 3 and then Parker at the 4. But that's just my thoughts. And then at the 5. I guess they have Thonmaker starting, but Greg Monroe will probably start, I think. But if they have to start Thonmaker, that's not bad. But this Bucks team, I do think they improved team wingspan, I believe. I got that from Most Valuable Podcast, guys. If you don't watch them, go check out their channel. It's I like them. So, yeah, Milwaukee Bucks at 5. And let's move on to the top 4 teams in the East. Coming in at number 4 in the Eastern Conference, I believe the Toronto Raptors are going to be that. Last year they finished 3rd in the East, but I think they're going to drop 1 spot just because I know they lost DeMarre Carroll, but they lost DeMarre Carroll, PJ Tucker, and Patrick Patterson. DeMarre Carroll was a starter for them, and I just think just because they lost that starter, I don't think they have the answer. I mean, OG Anunoby, I don't know if he is the answer at the 3. They also lost Patrick Patterson off the bench, and PJ Tucker, who was a decent pickup for them at the trade deadline of last season. So they did re-sign Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, and they got CJ Miles. So CJ Miles will probably start at the 3 position here for the Toronto Raptors. Why did I check the roster? We know the roster. Obviously, we know the depth, though. Kyle Lowry is going to be starting at the point guard. Obviously, DeMar DeRozan will be at the 2. Now at the 3, it's not going to be DeMar Carroll because he won't be there. I think it'll be CJ Miles. CJ Miles will probably start at the small forward position. Then it'll be Serge Ibaka and Jonas Valanciunas. So there it is. That is the Toronto Raptors roster. Nothing much changing. And now on to the 3 spot. Ooh. In at 3rd in the Eastern Conference, we have the Washington Wizards as they finished 4th last year in the Eastern Conference, but they moved up to the 3 spot. So they just flipped with Toronto. And yeah, obviously they didn't have any draft picks. They did pick up Jody Meeks from Orlando in the free agency. They also re-signed Otto Porter on a stupid-ass contract, but they did it, and they kind of kept that intact. They also picked up Tim Frazier, but no big deal. They lost Bojan Bogdanovic, but that was about it. So obviously nothing much changing here. Obviously we're going to have John Wall starting at point guard, Bradley Beal starting at shooting guard, Otto Porter Jr. starting at small forward, Markieff Morris starting at power forward, and Marcin Gortat starting at center. No change, but I do believe since the whole team has been kept intact, I think they'll jump the Toronto Raptors for next year, and they will be the 3 seed. So let's move on to the 2 seed. Coming in at the 2 seed for the Eastern Conference next year, it is the Boston Celtics. And if you guys already know the last team, I flipped them with the Cavaliers. Obviously, Boston finished 2 games ahead of the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, and the Boston Celtics got the 1 seed. But this year, I don't know. We got a lot of depth, but we lost a lot of depth, if it makes sense. We got JT at 3. We got Zizic. We finally signed Zizic from last year. We got Semi, Kadeem Allen, and Jabari Bird. We also picked up Aaron Baines. Obviously, Gordon Hayward is the big dog from this free agency. And we also got Daniel Theis, and Marcus Morris. We got so much, but we lost. Jonas Jerebko, Amir Johnson, Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, Jordan Mickey, and Tyler Zeller. So we did lose a lot of our players that helped with that. We did pick up a lot of depth players as well, but a lot of rookies, though. Like, we have a lot of rookies. Aaron Baines is nothing special, and obviously Gordon Hayward is very special, but I just don't see the Celtics. I see the Celtics finishing with like 55 wins, but I do see the Cavs finishing with 56. I see it very close. I just think Cleveland is like last year. Boston, we just kind of had a run, but we lost Avery, and we just lost a key starter. And when you lose a key starter, you gain a key starter, you gain an amazing player. We got better, but we lost a key starter. That doesn't help in the regular season. It's going to help more in the playoffs, in my opinion. But let's go check out the Boston Celtics depth chart here. Now, a lot of things can happen here. Obviously, IT, the beast himself, is going to be starting at the point guard. They have Gordon Hayward here at the shooting guard. I don't know about that. They have Jay Crowder. Here's what I think is going to happen. Isaiah Thomas will start at the 1. I think this is tough. I think they might move Jalen to the 2, or maybe even put Tatum there. It's up to them. But none of these centers are back, by the way. And then these 2 are gone. We have no big men, basically. Brad Stevens says he doesn't care. He wants the best 5 players on the court. So he's going to probably play some really small lineups. But here's what I think is going to happen. Isaiah Thomas at the 1. I think Jaylen Brown will play at the 2. Him and J-Tay, honestly. You have James Young, but who cares? I think Gordon Hayward will obviously play the 3. That's a given. The 4, they'll move Jay Crowder to the 4, and then Al Horford to the 5. To me, just without Avery Bradley, imagine if we still had Avery Bradley, we could have Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, so we'd have a good answer there. Then we could have Gordon Hayward, and then you have Jalen and Tatum coming off the bench, and they could play any of these 3 positions, but instead you kind of got to start one of them. That's okay. I mean, it's no big deal. I also forgot about Marcus Morris. So Marcus Morris might start at the 4. It's either going to be Marcus Morris or Jay Crowder starting at the power forward come opening day. And then at the 5 will be Al Horford. That's just my opinion. But that's going to be the Celtics team. I think they're finishing seconds in the East, not first this year. I think they just kind of had a magical run last year. I mean, they're still an amazing team, but they're obviously going to finish second in the East. But they had more of a magical run, even by getting better. They did get better, but I think it was a little bit like they played. I think they're going 51-31 this year, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's still a very, very good record, but they got better, but their record's just going to be a little bit worse because IT was going crazy. I don't think IT is going to go as crazy this year, but he's still going to be a very quality player, very, very great player. And the final team in the East, the number 1 seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, obviously, things are not looking good in Cleveland, but they did not lose anyone. They picked up 2 people. They got Jose Calderon, Jeff Green for depth, and then Kyle Korver re-signed. But they do not have a GM right now. So that might raise questions. Oh, the Cavaliers, I don't know what's going on. But I see Cleveland. They'll get the number 1 seed this year. So they didn't lose anyone. That's my big thing. They did not lose anyone. So this right here, this is their lineup. Kyrie, JR, LeBron, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson. I think they'll be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. That is just my opinion, and I think unless they sit a lot of people, but they did get more depth this year, so if they want to sit, that's fine. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to be the number 1 team in the East. So to recap, the number 1 seed will be Cleveland, 2 Boston, 3 Washington, 4 Toronto, 5 Milwaukee, 6 Miami, 7 Philadelphia, 8 Charlotte, 9 Detroit, 10 Indiana, 11 New York, 12 Chicago, 13 Atlanta, 14 Orlando, 15 Brooklyn. If you guys tell me in the comments what you guys would change, and give me your predictions down below for the Eastern Conference.